Hi, I'm Ken Love,
And I'm Jane Tai.
and together we teach Hawaii Master Food Preservers. One of the first things we learn is sanitation and food safety, and that begins with
Hand washing. And we need to do that 20 seconds. Wash your hands, sing happy birthday, so it is 20 seconds. And every time you go out, every time you do something different, you have to wash your hands all over again or change disposable gloves.
What we'd like to do now is explain some of the things that we want to use for making jams, jellies, marmalades, and conserves. But first, it's glove time. Okay, so we're gonna start with jars. Now, remember, everything has to get sanitized, but what we want to do now is just show you what we're using in order to make, well, we're going to make a couple things today. Calamansi, marmalade, and Surinam cherry jelly. For the purposes of what we're doing, we're going to use the little 8-ounce ball jars that you can get at any of the local big box stores and some of the small mom and pop stores around Hawaii. If you're lucky enough to find commercial jars like this that are 4-ounce and single piece lids, that's fine too, and it works great.
Otherwise, you'll find not commercial jars, but you'll find in the stores 4-ounce, which also has removable lid and your ring.
And bigger jars, which can be used for big jars of jelly or pickles or marinara sauce. And because we're going to sanitize all these jars, and we're going to sanitize the rings and the lids independently of each other, because there's a reason for that. And this is to hold the lids, and there's even little magnet things so that you don't have to touch them. But the reason is that these are 180 degrees, and they shouldn't be boiled like the jars and the rings can be boiled for sanitation. This is 180 degrees at peak so that it doesn't degrade the seals underneath. Hence, ta-da, you should have a little kitchen thermometer. See, everybody thinks that pocket in the chef's coat is for pens, but it's really for thermometers, so we can test the water and make sure it doesn't go above 180 degrees. I have a pen too. Anyway, so we have our lids and rings. And once everything is sanitized, well, we got to take the ones out of the jar. There's a little jar lifter. And you still want to, when you're working with the jars coming out of boiling water or after the jelly's in it, and you boil that jelly for 20 minutes and lift it out of the boiling water, you don't want to take a chance that it'll slip out of there. So I usually have a rag because you don't want boiling water dripping on your hands. So anyway, now the jars are empty, they've been sanitized, and we've got either our jelly or marmalade or conserve or preserves or jam is boiling and ready to get filled in the jar. What are we going to do? The jars are ready. We're going to put in a funnel. We're going to pretend this is the boiling jelly that we've just made, and we're going to scoop it into there. And we've got to measure our head space, which is how much space there is, and it should be 1/4 inch only for jams and jellies. And the other way of doing it is to fill a pitcher and then pour it in, which on small jars is a lot easier, which is probably what we'll do when you see the whole thing coming up. And actually we put tend to do it like that. There's different systems, and the different systems work different ways for different people. When you're cooking, well, a lot of people will use the tongs to pick up the jars like this, but it's the same thing. You should have a rag underneath, especially with tongs if you're not used to it. It's another way to do it. What other goodies in here? When we're making the jam and jelly, we got a hand mixer. It's really important that you mix it in the right order, and people forget this and they pour everything in at the same time and stir it up and expect it to gel. And it doesn't always work like that. So you first have your fruit, you bring that to a rolling boil, then you add your pectin, bring that to a rolling boil, and then you add your sugar and again to a rolling boil, and that's when you
test for your pH. pH for Hawaii is 4.2, so if it's 4.2 and lower, you're good to go. Nationally, it's 4.6, but because we deal with a lot of tropical fruits, the acidity level is a little lower, a little higher than what you would find on the mainland. So don't forget, test your pH before you start filling your jars.
That, and we have some strange bacterias and things that are not too common on the mainland that are much more common in the tropics, like rat lungworm and leptospirosis. And
so a couple of things that can missed as he was going through filling the jars is after you fill the jar and you check the headspace, use a clean towel or disposable towel, wet it a little bit, and you just wipe the rim of it just so that when you do have, and may I have this picker, and when you do put on the lid, that it actually forms a tight seal. Then twist a ring on, but only finger tight. If you do it too tight, then you may damage actually the lid that's inside. If you do it too loose, unfortunately, it may open up when you do the water bathing.
okay, I guess it's time to start. Sanitation, sanitizer, which is basically bleach and water. It's amazing what they can do with bleach, and paper towels, of course. So this is pretty essential to all work surfaces.
All right, I have to change my glove because it has sanitizers on it now.
Yeah, well, same here. I think it's always good to do that.
Here's mine. And grab yours.
Except when you put...
These are for our inner lids, and these are for our rings. And these are for our jars. When you get a case of jars, as you're untwisting them, do inspect each one to make sure there are no cracks on them. If there are cracks, then you need to dispose of them. And then these get separated out. So I'm going to leave these for you as I put this in here. Okay?
The rings are going to go in here, and this can go boil to its heart's content and get, I mean, they don't really have to be boiled or sanitized. They never touch the product. But, you know, you can't be too safe. So why take chances? It's just easier to put these on water, on a burner, and go from there. These, again, 180 degrees, and that's it. So we have some in a rack. Sometimes they can just go individually into the pan, and then when that water reaches 180 degrees, we'll use the magnet and make sure those are safe.
Now, there are other people who have buy cases of the jars, and they'll just use the jars straight out of the case without even washing them. We do wash them here in Hawaii. They sit on pallets outside, and there are a ton of pests that we have. It's exposed to the environment, exposed to the elements. So just to be on the safe side, because we'd hate to lose the product, we just go ahead and sanitize it anyway. That just makes sure that everything is proper, safe, and clean, essentially.
Where we do water bath canning, but we do not do oven canning, and we do not do the open kettle, which means you seal it afterwards and then let the heat suck it down into the seal. That doesn't work here in Hawaii. So we do have a couple of things, and fortunately our Department of Health is really good about isolating the difference in pH and some of the things we have to do to ensure a safe product. We have 10 cups of Surinam cherry that we've processed.
Smells good.
Smells good?
Yeah.
That is pectin and sugar. And so when we're making, I'm just going to move this out of the way for a sec. When we're making jelly, you got to think kind of the Olympic rings. So you boil this, and then you add and stir in your pectin while it's boiling, and that locks it to, the molecules are locked together. Then when that's boiling, which is quick, you add your sugar, and that locks that together. And so the three of these lock together like the Olympic rings. For some reason, I keep thinking of those. That's what causes it to gel.
So the recipe we're using is actually pretty standard, and it's recommended in many books as well as on Google as well. So we have 10 cups of juice, 10 cups of sugar, and 5 boxes of pectins, which equals to a ballpark about 2 cups. It's really more by the box as opposed to how many cups.
The pectin, there's many types of pectin. Find that the boxes that you find in every grocery store in Hawaii is just what we need to get it to work. We have a general recipe for most tropical fruit that we process, whether it's Surinam cherry, lily koi, what else, jabote kava, almost guava, almost equal parts sugar and juice, and then the pectin. Our fruit, the way it grows in Hawaii, doesn't always have the same taste from crop to crop or year to year. So you have to familiarize yourself, with that difference. Trust in your palate. Our lids have been processed to 180 degrees, and we're going to put those off to the side. Our rings have boiled and more than sterilized, and again, it's not 100% necessary, but it can't hurt, and it's better not to take chances. So between the lids and the rings, we're ready to go. So anyway, we like to boil everything and sterilize as best we can everything, including this tool, the jar lifter.
And the towel that the jars are on have also been sanitized.
So we always, whatever the recipe calls for, always make a couple extra jars, because you never know when you're going to need them. Get ready to make the Surinam cherry. That was so nicely processed. Just starting to boil now. And as we get to a full rolling boil,
then I will be adding the pectin in.
And I'm going to be stirring it in with the burr mixer or hand blender or one of the other names they have for these things, and really get the pectin worked in. Now once that's in, it'll come back to a full boil really quickly, so we have to be ready with the sugar right away, which is why you have to have everything measured and poured out ahead of time. Now you can see it's full rolling boil, and I'm going to get rid of this spoon, and it's all yours.
Ready?
Yep. Just
go for it.
I'm going to work in that pectin, make sure it's all dissolved in here. Yep, there we go, full boil. So we just...
Now we're adding the sugar. Two more.
Now wait before, oh yeah, that's 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for pH.
Okay, now we're going to test pH. We're going to test for pH. Well,
this one's a little harder to do because Surinam cherry is red, but essentially, as you see, I took it to wipe, and we've got it well below the 3.0.
So yeah, so when you get into 2 and 2.5 pH, the color is red. So we're nice and acidic, which means I better steal her spoon and taste it to make sure we don't need too much more sugar. Oh.
Is it good?
It's tart. You know what it tastes like? It's like a tart cherry that you get in a pie. A little more sugar it is. So once this comes to a full boil, we'll be ready to start jarring. So when we're filling the jars, I like to use a pitcher just because it's easier. And I'm going to do this, and then Jane is going to take that and check the headspace. This headspace is integral to making a safe seal on the jelly. And we should be about 1/4 inch.
A little more. Need a little more.
I missed?
Yep, just a little more.
Just a little?
You get.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Okay, I'm good to go. So after you check the headspace, you want to just go around the rim, make sure any drips are wiped up so that when you actually put the lid
And
on.
threads. Right?
Sorry?
Threads too, or?
Yeah. And the threads, yeah. More important is just the top so that when the lids go on, there's nothing in between. Since the last jar is not a full jar, we actually won't be water bathing it. It won't achieve the appropriate pressure to make the jelly safe. So it's actually a freezer jam or a refrigerator jam.
So we've got everything in here now, and we're ready to count 20 minutes from a full rolling boil. And again, the key is a boil. So watch pot never boils, so I'll just put the lid on and we'll wait a few minutes, check it, it's boiling, and then we'll count 20 minutes. Okay, now these have boiled for 20 minutes. We're gonna take them out. We're gonna just use a rag to get a little bit of the water off the top of the jars so there's no water spouts. And then we're going to put them off to the side and let them sit and harden up for 24 hours. Oh man, the color is really nice. That's what's so surprising about a lot of the tropical fruit in Hawaii is that you start with one color, and when you add sugar, or in some cases you'd add salt or add another fruit, the color changes totally and it gets beautiful. Oh, you heard that
that's pretty
pop.
good. That popped. The clink.
That's what it's supposed to do.
And that's what you want to hear. Clink. Oh, there it goes. There goes another one.
That means your seal is just perfect.
So I'm just really just gently damp towel, just dabbing it on the top just to get that excess water. Don't press down on it, because you press down on it, you will actually press the seal down. Okay.
That's great. You got it?
Yep, I got it. So we're going to be making a calamansi or calamandin marmalade. And a marmalade actually uses the peel or rind of the citrus as well. But these are fresh picked, as we always do with most of our fruits. And because they are fresh picked, we really need to de-stem them and wash the outside carefully, since we are going to be using the marmalade, using the peel for the marmalade. It's really important to wash each and every one of them as best as you can. And in some cases, as you'll see later on when we actually do the marmalade, there may be parts of the skin that we will cut off because we don't want to eat it for whatever aesthetic reasons or just to be on the safer side. Ken's going to do the cutting, I will do the juicing, he's going to cut the skins, and that's it. So.
I mean, people like all kinds of marmalade. Sometimes they just grind it all up in the juicer, and sometimes they like long skinny pieces or long thin pieces. When we're cooking this, it's going to lose some too, so I tend to have calamansi that is a little bit thicker than I would, let's say, an orange marmalade. And it has almost zero pith on it, same on both sides. So there's a real difference between that and other types of citrus. I mean, it's a lot of work to do this. The taste, if you like marmalade, is worth it, because it is exquisite, and it's kind of somewhere between lime and orange and kumquat and shikwasa, and it's used in a variety of ways, not just with added sugar for jams and jellies, but often just squeezed on fish, used in a number of other recipes as a souring or a lime agent. It takes the place of lime in a lot of dishes. Any citrus can be made into a marmalade. Depending on how you like it or your customers like it, there's a certain amount of the white pith, between the peel and the fruit. So you've got to decide how much of that you want. I tend to peel things very thinly because I don't like the white pith. Now the white pith is where a lot of the natural pectin is, but I rather add powdered pectin than get the bitterness of the pith. So it's really up to your individual taste, once you've had some experience making it, as to how far you want to take it. Well, you've got to get individual tastes matter. So you get used to what you like. I like very thick jellies. I don't like bitterness at all. I rather have it on the sweet side. All right, now we're gonna make calamansi marmalade, and Jane is gonna pour in the juice while I turn on the fire. Hey, and it went on. Now, one of the things about marmalade, you notice before we used the hand blender or burr mixer, we don't want to do that. Can I have the spoon first? Let's get this a little warm. And then we're not going to use the burr mixer because it will tear this to shreds. And we want to have some peel. I mean, what's marmalade without a little peel? So usually you would go half and half. So you do 4 cups of peel to 4 cups of juice. In this case, we're going to do 4 cups of peel to 8 cups of juice, so that it's more spreadable. And calamansi can be used as a glaze on cakes and things, and then it's not as much peel in it. So although it's fine to use on anything, but yeah, go ahead, pour them in. There's just something about working with citrus that's really rewarding. First, I mean, everyone grew up, learning about how healthy citrus is and how important it is to get your vitamin C and get a good start to the day with orange juice. And now that we've learned about all these other types of citrus that grow in Hawaii, it makes it a little special. Okay, it's important to keep stirring marmalade especially, because again, the peel can burn as well as the juice, even before we put the sugar and the pectin in. And it's much harder to blend marmalade with sugar and then pectin, or pectin then sugar, because of the peel. Oh, there it goes. Now it's bubbling in the middle. Yep. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
And you don't just dump it in. I kind of like to, especially with marmalade, you want to just do little bits at a time and get it stirred in so that, whoa, and try not to burn yourself in the process.
It's very hot. I'm stirring this and it's really hot.
Yep. All right. Now, it doesn't take much time for it to go
back to a boil.
Go back to a boil. In fact, here we go. Okay. Oh, does it look good and smells good? I gotta say, normally we use smaller tasting spoons, but this looks too good. This looks too good.
More sugar?
Woo! More sugar.
That should do though.
Yep. Here's a clean one.
Yeah, I need to get the clumps out.
Okay, yeah.
Some of the clumps.
We got to do the pH too, but
I know.
I'm sure the pH
clumping
is going to
already.
be good. Oh, that was perfect though. Adding that last bit of sugar.
Okay, it's almost ready. So you have to test it. Yum. We're coming.
So look at that, right?
Right on 3.0.
Yeah. Perfect. Now you can get a meter and even get a little more accurate with your
All right,
pH.
we're good.
All right, turn them off. Whoa, look at that go.
Good to go.
Yeah, so what I want to do is try to balance the amount of peel per juice. And all marmalade has a, well, the viscosity is perfect. All marmalade has a habit of separating sometimes with the peel at the bottom, and you don't get it, and then you get all peel. And so the idea with using a little more pectin than necessary is that you get this kind of viscosity in it where it's naturally balanced and the pectin is floating through the whole jar.
Right before, you need to check for headspace. It's 1/4 of an inch for these jars, and then wipe the rim and wipe the threads so that you can create a tight seal on the lids. Tighten your rings, don't over tighten.
This helps rather than using a small funnel and ladle. Found that just pouring it like this just is not as messy. Well, I wish you guys could get the odor of this. It's just really incredible.
We've known people also just to take the jelly and you can add it into hot water. It's great, like in cold weather, winter time, you make it into a hot citrus drink.
Which is sold all through Asia, only with yuzu and
Orange. And tangerine, actually.
Yeah, mikan. So, and actually you can get essentially the same product made for tea, to mix with your tea. You can get that product to mix with yogurt or to use as a jelly. Okay, now, like we did with the other one, we got to boil all the jars. So you can see already how it's starting to, the peel is coming up towards the top and floating. So ideally, you would mix it up or shake it up after it comes out of the hot water, and then they roll it, or you stack it upside down, and then the peel will slowly rise. You can actually see it coming up.
20 minutes later, and it's ready to go.
Oh, thanks. And I don't have to soak up as much water on the top. And this is more to get the little residual drops off the top so it doesn't leave watermarks. Because you do, if we're, in our case, we're selling this at our farm stand, so we want to make sure it looks nice. Let's hold one up to the light, see how it, let's see, let me,
You hold it.
okay. I want to,
You gonna roll it?
no, I'm going to turn it upside down and see if, there comes the, some of the peels you can see coming up there.
So there we have it. Calamansi, Calamandan marmalade. And we'll let it set and pop for the next 24 hours.
You can see it takes a while to do this. And when you're learning to make jam and jelly properly for the first time, there's all of those little things you got to remember. Once you get the process down, you know, and the process being process and take care of your fruit, do your mise en place, where you have everything ready to go, from your pH paper, your sugar, your pectin, your fruit juice, your jars, your lids, your little magnet, your headspace checker, your paper towels, and your cloths for covering everything. Once you have all that down and you're used to that process, it doesn't matter what fruit. Then the recipes for the specific types of fruits are pretty easy. If you have any questions, you can always go to Hawaii Master Food Preserver's Facebook page. So for us, we want to be able to make things that can stay on the shelf in a pantry, or people can take back from Hawaii to wherever they live to remember their trip here.
Until the next time then.
Aloha.